No, you shouldn't have!
Hey guys, what's up? This is Nino Sabai here, back at it again with a brand new video. I believe last time what I did was a Modes build, and this time I'm doing for an Amara build that I've actually played around with for the past year or so. But it wasn't as refined before. I made a couple of videos prior to this, but since then I've decided to take them down because, like I said before, they weren't well optimized. And I just kind of wanted to give them a commentary update alongside with other updates that I've given to this setup since the whole patches that came in regarding Melee and DLC and 6 and all that stuff. So with that being said, let's get right into the build. And a good way to start this off is actually talk about Phaseslam for a bit. The first thing that we got to keep in mind with Phaseslam is its pros and cons. And starting with the pros, it actually is a pretty decent action skill, all things considered. It does a lot of damage, procs a wide area of effect, especially when you use something like, let's say, Revelation, which activates Nova upon using your action skill, but I'll get into that later. With the right skills and setups, so if you use stuff like Splash or action skill damage, it actually can hold its own. The only thing that keeps it back is what I'm going to state, which are the cons. And cons of Phaseslam is that there are no invincibility frames when you use it during its animation, and that can cause you to get down while you use it. And another thing to keep in mind with it is that its cooldown is pretty long. There's a 35 seconds, it says here. Doesn't seem like a lot, but when you're trying to fight through like a horde of mobs, 35 seconds is a long time. So a good way to keep in mind, a good thing to keep in mind, excuse me, when regarding or using Phaseslam would be to make sure that you either have a way to deal with the cooldown and make sure that you have some way to sustain yourself while you use it. And this setup is allowing us to do that with a couple of skill points that we use to keep ourselves up at all times and allow us to use a wide range uh, of what's it called? Right, artifacts. A wide range of artifacts and other stuff that we can use to keep us up while doing a good amount of damage to the point where it can seem almost kind of ridiculous. So that's a good way to transition into the gear, starting off with the weapons, which would be the pointy cycle stabber with 300 over 90 noise. Oh, another thing to keep in mind is that 300 over 90 is probably going to be your best bet regarding not even just Phaseslam, but just melee builds and just action skill builds, because it will buff everything that you do, that one anointment. So it's a good thing to have on everything we use. So with that being said, Cycle Staff is the perfect example because that's going to buff on melee. Yeah, this can affect a lot of things that we do, such as Novas, Slams, even in, like I said before, our Phaseslam. Other annoyances that can work would probably be just generic melee on active skill end and Phaseslam. Next thing I want to go over would probably be the trick Unforgiven. This one I have with 452. This one also has 300 over 90, which is a no-brainer, and this is going to be important for other stuff that we use, such as quick swapping with certain artifacts, or even just light elephants if we choose to use them. Next, what we have is Pestilence. This gun is honestly kind of wild. It not only just gets what it does actually, which I'll just demonstrate right now, is when we break it, we are just going to activate a Nova that will, yeah, it activates a Nova when it just breaks, and we can just spam this over and over again. And for those who don't know, it actually does actual damage, and it takes into account splash and elemental bonuses and all that. So it's a good gun to use with this, as long as we have something like a red suit or a recurring, or yeah, just a red suit, just so we don't die, because this actually does damage to yourself. And if you don't have that shield, you will get down instantly. So yeah, we can use this to build up Groundbreaker, and it will help us buff a good amount of our melee damage, especially if we have the 80% melee bonus that it can roll with. Other anointings that we can use would be consecutive hits and Phaseslam weapon damage 300%. Next up would be the Zetsiv's Eruption. This is actually debuffs enemies when we break our gun. There's no enemies around us, so it won't shoot darts out, but when there are enemies, it'll home in and they'll get debuffed. And just like the Pestilence, we could just cancel that reload animation by just throwing grenades, or using our melee, or even just our axe skill, anything really. We could just spam that over and over. And yeah, just keep debuffing them. And we could just do some crazy cheese regarding a certain artifact that I'll get into later. Next up will be the Face Punch. It is no brainer. We're going to be doing a good amount of melee damage, so having the 391, even after the nerf, it's still pretty good, all things considered. Other anointments that we can use will be consecutive hits, U-rad in case we get down, or 300% baseline weapon damage. That's also a pretty good one to have as well. Yeah, I think that rounds off the guns, and now we just go into the shields. So I already touched a little bit on Brawler red suit. Yeah, this shield can roll in Roid. It's going to help us stay alive when we use the Phaseslam. So if we choose to, best anointment that we can use would be 200% melee for Phaseslam. Uh, and another thing to keep in mind with the shield is it's actually going to proc a dot near enemies. And if we have the 391, it'll actually do a good couple of it will get enough damage where we can actually sustain ourselves using that as well when we go over the skill tree setup. Other shields to keep in mind would be let's stay on the Roid shields for a little bit. Level 1 Brawler Ward, as you can see here, no brainer, 300% melee weapon, 300% melee, excuse me, on shield break alongside 25% weapon damage. You can use that for face puncher shenanigans alongside giving us some health regen, which is pretty nice. Best in the will be Phaseslam melee. Brawler plus Ultra. This one will actually give us some extra cooldown. If we take in bullet damage, also absorb bullets if we choose to use Face Puncher. It also gives us a total of 100% health bonus, which doesn't state on the card. So that's really nice to have. Best annoying here would be the Phaseslam melee damage again. And finally, this one's not too necessary, but this is a fun one to use. If you can get this one, the Featherweight Rough Rider, it'll give us some extra damage reduction, some health, melee damage, and some movement speed. Not the best Roid shield, but it is a pretty fun one. And since it can roll in Roid, Phaseslam melee would be a no-brainer to have this. And as for the shields, regarding Nova shields, Brawler Nova Burner is honestly my personal favorite. It does a lot of damage when you match it with flesh enemies. It can also roll in Roid, but we mostly want to use it for the Nova, which is why we have it on Actions Get Start. Void Rift, same principle here. Can't actually roll in Roid because it gives us a Nova and a black hole effect when it breaks, which actually helps us with certain enemies that we can't get close to, such as racks, flying enemies in general, or even just like enemies that are just too far away from us. It actually pulls them in, and followed by a Cryo Nova that can either freeze them, kill them, or even both at the same time. And it's got the spike effect of if you take bullet damage, so those balls can freeze too. And if you hold the 390 weapon anointment, it'll actually has a good chance to freeze them as well. So yeah, Active Skill Star on this shield is a must. Finally, Extinguish Shield. This one again is no brainer. I have this corrosive one here. On Shield Break, it'll activate a Melee Nova, activates a whole bunch of melee effects. And Active Skill Star is our best one here too. I would have gotten all of them in all the shield and all elements, but honestly, if we already have fire, shock, cryo, excuse me, and we have a good amount of shock damage, which I'll get into in a little bit. The Roid shields are more than enough. And with that being said, let's get right into the grenades. Grenades are not that important. You actually replace this all with fish slaps. I didn't have them here. But nice alternatives would be the hex grenades alongside this level 1 longbow transfusion. So if we want to break our shields and do some quick farming on Graveward or any like single target enemy. I got Nate's Piss Grenade in case you want to go debuff them instead. I also got the Doc Heena's Miracle Bomb, which I don't really see many people talk about aside from Stone Swan. Yeah, this is actually pretty good grenade. It does a lot of damage for a grenade that only does 49k. Leaves a pretty impressive dot, and it helps us build up our Groundbreaker in case you want to do some true melee shenanigans. So yeah, overall, pretty good grenades. Like I said, you could replace these all with fish sass, but I say give these a try. Hex grenades usually for utility. These are the debuff, breaking our shield, and just Groundbreaker stuff. Yeah, give those a try. Let's see what else we have here. To the comms. We're using mostly 3. I have this breaker con here. It gives us 1 point to find your center, and I think, yeah, 4 points to jab cross. It's going to give us extra melee, axe skill, and gun damage. Damage reduction on it is it's pretty nice. It's not great, but considering that we're going to make our character as tanky as possible, it's actually pretty open. And all things considered, especially the playstyle that I'll go over. The best on white text that you can get is actually skill cooldown rate. As Phaseslam, as I stated before, its cooldown is pretty long, so we want to be able to cut that down as much as we can. Splash damage, splash and rage is what I have here. Other stuff that can work would be melee damage, axe skill damage, and yeah, those are the top rolls that you want to get. Other comms that I have here would be the Muse. Like I said before, axe skill damage, splash damage, and splash damage radius, what we want here. And driver, this is mostly for face puncher stuff. You choose to do that. I have this one with axe skill damage, axe skill cooldown rate, excuse me. Melee damage, splash damage radius. You could probably get yourself a weapon damage increase on this as well, and you'll probably do pretty good damage overall. Just make sure that you're able to deal with the cooldown, and you should be good to go. And now for the artifacts. This is where things get a little complicated, so I'll do my best to explain. Mostly we're just going to be using static charge, as it's the best artifact if we can go through some mobbing. It gives us actually 50% shock damage even without sliding. This can increase more if we choose to do so. When we melee, we just cause these chains that help us strip shields when we land melee. And make sure that we stay up. Disregarding that we're going to be using sustainment in this build. The prefixes that we want to have would be stuff like the corrosive stones, or elemental projector, if we're going to use something like the driver. Oh, I kind of messed that up. Yeah, but other stuff that we could use would be like the spark plug static charge that I have here. When we slam, it's going to cause a Tesla coil to spawn, and they'll just start chaining to other enemies. It'll strip their shields. It does pretty good damage, all things considered. Helps, like I said before, strip shields. And make sure that we stay alive, even while we're doing melee shenanigans alongside it. Other stuff that we could use would be the Ice Spiker, if I can try to find it. There we go. Yeah, this one does action skill damage just like the Pestilence, so if you use them both together, you could probably do some crazy stuff with them. And another one that we can use is Hot Drop. This gets, this is probably the strongest one if we use like just straight splash. The only thing about it is that it gets affected by gravity, so you can't really use it in stuff like the Guardian Takedown. But other than that, it's really strong. And lastly, we have the Unleash the Dragon. We can actually use this with 390 Psycho Stabber. Probably run around with a Stinger Shield. And this, yeah, cause some crazy melts if we pull it off right. Oh, I forgot to mention too, White Elephants we're still using. Despite the nerf, they're still pretty strong for bossing. They could do even some crazier stuff if we choose to crit swap the White Elephants. And yeah, I think that's pretty much about it. Just use an elemental projector whenever it's necessary to use, let's say, something like driver, and you should be good to go. Now onto the skill tree. So let's just go over green first. I put 5 points here to lose rise to get max health. Max health Samsara for gun damage and health regen. 5 points to arms deal, so we get splash damage reduction. 3 out of 5 to help the hands to get down the tree, get some extra damage reduction. 1 point to, actually let me take off the com, just so we don't confuse ourselves. There we go. 1 point to find your center, just so we get melee and melee damage and melee range for 20 seconds. Mindfulness, so we can move around as fast as possible. I would actually have gone Vigor, but since we're using Nova Shield, it's kind of have to compromise here. The more the more damage we take in, running dots or whatever, the faster we move. This is pretty important, especially if you use something like, let's say, the driver. Going down, put 5 points of jab cross for action skill damage and gun damage. 1 point to Guardian Angel, so you get that free second win. It's always very, very nice to have. And 1 point to Blitz, so we can actually get even more melee range and help us melee a little better if we get bullied by something like rockets with knockback, or even the Guardians. Now to Red Tree. We go down for going down mostly for sustainment, but there is some nice stuff to pick up here that I don't see too many people talk about, like Catharsis. This is going to give us when enemy dies, they explode, dealing the 2 elemental damage. I know I'm supposed to start off up top here, but I just want to cover this first, because this actually gets Mayhem scaling, so it actually does a pretty high number when it does proc. The only problem with it is that it's only 8 seconds cooldown, so it's not like the most consistent, but it is something to pick up in comparison to something like Deep Well and Discriminate, which we're not using. But yeah, just to start off on top of here, 5 points Anima for stats, effect, damage, and duration. Helps us with driver and keep our shields down. Tempest, increase elemental damage. This is overall bonus for everything, so that's pretty good. Illuminated Fist, 1 point just to get elemental damage on our melee. 3 points just to go down the tree and get extra handling and accuracy for Face Puncher. 2 points again to go down the tree. And yeah, get some extra chance to spread dots. 1 point for sustainment, and they put the rest here for infusion to again help us out in the Face Puncher department. And to round it all off, we got Heavy Rain, Northern States of Nature. And yeah, just grab ourselves Combo Breaker. I was actually trying to choose between purple and blue tree, but I found purple to be much better for melee, because we're not really going to get too many do harm stacks, because we're already deep into green. So yeah, it's not, Combo Breaker's nice, 20% chance. It's not the absolute best. This setup would actually be really good if you use something like Expedite, but even without Expedite, this build actually performs very, very well. So yeah, hopefully they fix this up and this build could be even better. But for now, we can actually just get away with Revelation. The Nova damage is pretty nice to have, and makes our Phaseslam much more consistent. So yeah, that's the overall build. Got the Guardian rank here. Got most of them down here. I have Shield Reboot down because I'm using the what's it called, Brawler red suit. So you do want this down most of the time. I have everything else though. Got the Command Slam, Groundbreaker, and Armageddon, and also topped off in case we get our shields up. So yeah, let me just give a quick demo of this setup. I'll be sure to post videos of it being used, like how you saw in the intro. And yeah, we'll just see how it does, just so you guys can see. Myself's gonna slide, get whatever ammo I need there. I'm just gonna test it out on this right here in Athenas. And these are not like that crazy. No true takedown tonight. Not feeling too great if you guys can't tell. I'm kind of sick for the past couple of days, but I've been doing okay for the most part. Well, so as you can see, got a Groundbreaker. Oh, he's almost dead. Got the Phaseslam going. Yeah, they really can't do anything with this. Oh, missed. He's almost done. Alright, let's keep going. So you can see Phaseslam is not doing too bad right now. And we got a bat. Awesome. So yeah, that's one way to use this and just show off the versatility of these builds. We're just going to put this away for now. Go with the Stinger. And try something really dumb, like Unleash the Dragon. Just so you guys can see how this all works out. Let's see, we might as well put this to shock. Just to balance it out. Oh yeah, let's try to get past the second wave of enemies. Both ones are good. Oh. That one, he's gone. Oh, yeah, that can happen. Got these heavyweights here, luckily they're not fire resistant. Oh, hit his kneecap. So as you can see, this build is pretty versatile in regards to what you want to put on it. You can just switch, and get something completely different. You can just go with the barrel. Oh man. I should probably put on the Muse here, it would have been a little more helpful. Breaker's nice, but that's much better if he's just using stuff that isn't complete melee in my opinion. Let's just try that right now. Yep. Got that mindfulness stack going. Should get rid of these battles. Battles are our enemy. Yeah. Oh, got that. Darcy's proc right there, that was pretty nice. Let's go. Alright, so as you can see, that was Stinger. That worked out pretty well. And now just to, let's see if we can try something else. Let's try the Plus Ultra and something like this part. Actually, let's try just straight up face punch or shenanigans. Go for radiant. Actually, static charge, going to projector, get that going, and now let's see how this works out. Unfortunately, because we're not using something like Phase Grasp, we can't really keep up mindfulness. We just kind of get there. We get there. What do we do? I am terrible. I'm sorry. Oh. That was close.
Why even try?
Alright, we're almost at the end. Maybe we should fall off this kill on Tron. Oh. There we go. Got this guy. And just for all time's sake, let's just do this. Let's put on Spark Plug. Just to make this a little bit easier. Put back on Pestilence. Alright. Okay, we still got that broken. And we'll just see how this works out.
Time for a fight.
Here. Nice. Didn't get the punch yet. Alright, just to show off the crit swap I was talking about, let's hit up Graveward. What actually is he? Give me a second. I'm sorry, it's just a little late. There we go. 2. And we just gotta put on the right stuff just to make this a little quicker. We got the face punch here. Let's go on for Phaseslam weapon. Put on this. And yeah. Actually, I don't think the con should matter too much. And alright, let's do this. Shields. There we go. Just like that. Alright, hope you guys enjoyed the video. I'm sorry if I sound a little confusing. I made a whole rule doc. You can find the description in the video. Once this video is done, you can just go check that out. I'm not feeling the best, still under the weather, but I did want to make this video just to show you guys just how effective this build is. And I hope you guys enjoyed. Leave a like, subscribe if you want to see more. It does keep me going when I do have time, of course. And I hope I catch you guys in the next one. Peace out.